Well, good morning. I'm joined again today by city officials, community leaders, and others seeking to make our streets safer and to grow Little Rock forward. We've been providing these updates on our public safety here in the state's capital city each week as a way to show what we're doing to employ more resources to combat crime in our city, both the short term and the long term, to reduce crime in our city. This is for the media who's here today, and as well as our residents who are watching. This is our opportunity as members to show what we're doing, but also for the media and for residents to ask questions. And the reason why is because we want to make sure that you have all the information on what's going on as we are combating this national crime wave that's not unique to Little Rock, but also has hit Little Rock. And so we want to ensure that we always are doing what we can to be transparent and be accountable to the people. We understand that policing is a 24/7 job. And just like that, so is news gathering. And so that is the main reason why we're ensuring that we have these public safety briefings each week. As you all know, we've been doing this since February 1st when we declared gun and community violence a public health emergency here in the city of Little Rock. We know it's going to take a holistic approach on how we address crime, both by proactive policing and addressing the root causes of crime through prevention and intervention. We want to continue to give the men and women of the Little Rock Police Department our appreciation because they're waking up each and every day to protect and serve all of us in the state's capital city. And they continue to need to be appreciated, supported, and commended. And that's the reason why we continue to ensure that they are well-resourced. And we also know we have more work to do to ensure they have the resources needed to combat crime. That's being accomplished as our incentives, whether it's increasing our incentives for new recruits from $5,000 to $10,000, whether it's ensuring that our officers have a raise, and we also know we need to continue to give them more raises. And those are things that we are working on from that potential standpoint. So we're not only finding solutions, we also are funding solutions. Today, I'm pleased to talk about both approaches. As we find solutions, today I'm pleased to announce the members of our HOPE Council. As you know, HOPE stands for Holistic Outreach and Prevention in Every Neighborhood. The HOPE Council is made up of community leaders who touch the lives of our young people every day through their work and their service. These individuals have the insights and leadership qualities we are looking to address the issues surrounding our community and its youth. Many members were able to show up today and some who were not available just due to scheduling, and we're grateful for what they're doing, for their city, for all of us. I'm extremely pleased to have this team as a resource moving forward. They'll be tasked with helping us find ways to address crime through community programs focusing on prevention, outreach, and through working across branches and levels of government. I also want to take this time, as one of the leaders of the HOPE Council will be City Director Ken Richardson, as we all know has a long history in gang intervention, but more importantly, prevention and intervention treatment resources. I'm pleased to have some of these members with us today. The council includes, and I will list the names, many are here and some are not. Victims Advocate Yolanda Harrison, former Dallas Cowboy Reggie Swinton, who has taken an active role in helping end violence in our community, Chanel Smith, Tim Campbell, Mallory Visser, who is our LRPD social worker, of course, Chief Humphrey and his 3 assistant chiefs, Pastor Billy Burris, Pastor Mark DeMaz, Dana Doucette and Michael Sanders, who represent the city of Little Rock as Director and Assistant Director of Community Programs, Charles Cambry, Lita Anthony, as well as Judge Melanie Martin and Judge Leon Johnson. And of course, I've already shared City Director Ken Richardson. The HOPE Council will work with the city of Little Rock as we find innovative ways to reduce crime and protect our neighborhoods. I'm eager to get to work with this exemplary group as we get started to continue our dual approach of both proactive policing and prevention intervention. As I share with the community, we have a great team of officers that are doing targeted patrols in high crime areas. We've increased the presence. We're ensuring that we also have a streets crime unit that's in addition to our overall patrolling. We're focusing on the sweeps of our apartment complexes. We are doing the work as it relates to policing. But we also have to focus on prevention, intervention, addressing the root causes of crime, so we truly can save a generation. That's what this is about. How do we save a generation? How do we save a teenager from committing a homicide and not having a life after that? How do we provide hope to the hopeless? In addition to finding these solutions, we're funding these solutions. Last night, the city board authorized more than $317,000 to fund 8 community programs intended to reduce violence and improve the quality of life and place for our youth and young adults. This is in addition to the $1.5 million, or part of the $1.5 million with the Community Violence Reduction Plan, as well as with the American Rescue Plan Act funds. We're doing the work, we're funding the programs. These 12-month contracts with various nonprofits in our city will create opportunities for our youth in arts and culture, tutoring, academic enrichment, and other areas like hospital-based intervention, and serve as a deterrent in crime. These programs and the money already set aside from the American Rescue Plan funds demonstrates the city's commitment and determination in addressing this uptick in crime. Now I want to take time to talk about state resources. Today I also want to thank Governor Hutchinson, Secretary Graves, who's a childhood friend, and state officials who are allocating money to hire new intensive supervision parole officers in Little Rock and Central Arkansas. These parole officers are assigned to the most violent offenders who have been released on parole. These additional officers will be very helpful to the men and women of Little Rock Police Department, because many times we are finding out that these individuals who are having access to illegal guns are already on parole and they're committing actions. And so when we find them, we understand that we need additional help from these parole officers to ensure that we are combating crime from this standpoint. And so we're very grateful for that. It is going to have a huge impact in Little Rock because we tend to have more parolees that are housed in the city of Little Rock than any other city in the state of Arkansas. And so we want to take this time to share that. We're now going to have Chief Humphrey to give his weekly public safety briefing to address crime from this weekend, as well as different things of what we're doing to combat crime. Again, we should all share our appreciation to the men and women of the Little Rock Police Department. They're doing a superb job. We have a high capture rate. They are doing what needs to be done. After that, we're going to ask Mr. Tim Campbell to give some brief remarks on behalf of the whole council and some brief remarks from City Director Ken Richardson.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, everyone. As always, I want to thank the amazing women and men of our police department. I want to thank the 3 assistant chiefs for their hard work and their due diligence in making sure each one of their bureaus is operating efficiently and addressing as a team the violent crime that's occurring and all crimes that are occurring in the city. But I'd like to begin an update on one of our recent homicides that occurred at Pizza Day Action, as you all know, 2900 block of West Markham. The victim was a Mr. Charles Willis, 53 years of age. I want to say that because of the hard work of our men and women and because our community came together, we have made an arrest. Tyler Jackson of North Little Rock was arrested yesterday and charged with first-degree murder. We needed our community's assistance. They stepped up and helped us identify this individual. We have taken another violent person off the street thanks to the women and men of this organization and to our community. So I want to say thank you to each all of our community, and once again to our hardworking men and women of this department. I've said this before, it takes the entire community to address violent crimes. And we always want our community to reach out to us. Don't be afraid to reach out to us. Utilize the resources, our number that you can call to report violent crime and to report if you see any of the suspects involved in any of our violent crimes. I want to say also, because of the sensitivity of this matter and this case, the case has been sealed. and so we're very limited in talking about this case. So I just want to say that again. We want to also preserve the integrity of the case for the family, for the Willis family. Also, I'd like to take the time to update you on our 17th homicide for the year. This past weekend, in the 7,100 block of Indiana Avenue, we talk about acquaintance violence. This was a case of acquaintance violence. The victim and the suspect were acquainted with each other. They met, there was an argument, and a homicide occurred. But within 24 hours of this incident, we were able to identify the suspect, Mr. Joey Doss, and he was also taken into custody. Again, I want to stress, if there's any type of concern about the safety of this community or threat to this community, we will let you all know. We've done that. We continue to say that. But we want to talk about the importance of conflict resolution. I've said that in the past. This 17th homicide is related to a lack of conflict resolution. We've got to continue to work on our differences. That's what we're seeing on a regular basis, a lack of conflict resolution and people not being able to separate their differences and agree to disagree. So with these arrests, it brings our homicide clearance rate to 76%. Also, that leaves 4 homicides that are left to clear. That's the homicide of Mr. Jaden Shackelford, Bradford Bankston, Lawrence Parker, and Rayvon McDowell, all of which occurred in 2022. We ask our community, as you have done recently, and we ask you to continue to do so, contact our tip line, 501-371-4636, 501-371-INFO, I-N-F-O. Also, we had there's been some concern or some discussion about an incident that occurred in the parking deck of Park Plaza Mall this past weekend. This is an ongoing investigation. I want to stress to the community, this did not occur inside the mall. All leads indicate that this was an incident of 2 people meeting in a designated area in the parking deck. There was never any intention to go inside the mall, so I want to stress that very clear. I'm also limited, because the suspect has not been arrested, I'm also limited in saying what I can, information I can share. I cannot provide a name of our suspect. We have been following all leads. As I've said before, I strongly believe that in the very near future we will have made an arrest. The victim was from North Little Rock. As last check, he's in stable condition, and we're going to continue to monitor this situation on a regular basis, on a continuing basis. We have heard from the residents. Unfortunately, crime does occur in commercial areas. This is one of our largest retail areas. We are the capital city. This city attracts people to come for leisure, pleasure, rest, work, and shopping. That's what happens when you have a beautiful and vibrant city. People want to come. And so I wanted to make sure that we share with all those that I mentioned. We want you to continue to come to our city. Please come to our city. The shooting in the mall is considered a Battery 1 incident. In the last 24 months, we've responded to 2 aggravated assaults. One assault that was against a family member. This Battery first incident, a Battery second, and 1 terroristic act. So a total of 6 incidents have occurred in the mall area in the last 24 months. Again, as I mentioned earlier, the majority of these incidents are acquaintance-based incidents. I'll say it again, acquaintance-based incidents. So I just want to share some of the things that we're doing in our city. Over the last week, we talked about our street crimes unit, an amazing group of officers. All of our officers are amazing, but these are officers that have been selected to work in our street crimes unit, which is a very, very strong part of our department. On a daily basis, these men and women go out and address the areas that we've been talking about, our areas where we've seen our increase in our violent crimes. We've talked about it, we've provided the map, we've said these violent crimes are concentrated in the small areas, And so these men and women have gone out and they're focusing and continue to focus on these areas. Let me assure you about the areas that they're focused on. District 61, 62, 93, 42, and 54 have been the areas that they focused on in the last 7 days. The results have ended in 9 arrests for felonies and misdemeanors. 11 warrants were served for various incidents, various offenses. So I wanted to share that with you. We're starting to see in those areas, those are the areas that we've identified. We've started seeing the word is out that the Little Rock Police Department is very highly visible in these areas. The word is getting out to some of the individuals that we're looking for. Unfortunately, we're going to continue to search. Fortunately, we're going to continue to search for those individuals. Unfortunately, they go into hiding. They commit these crimes. They go into hiding, but you can't hide forever. So I just wanted to share that information. As you all know, we did have an incident last week in the 3300 block of Jones near I-40. There were 3 individuals that were victims of this incident. And we continue to gather information on that incident. We'll continue to provide updates on that information as it becomes available. We also continue to work with our partnering neighboring agencies, but I want to continue to stress that we're working with our federal agencies for the maximum enforcement that that a person can receive when they commit these violent crimes. I just got off the phone this morning with the Assistant U.S. Attorney, and we're continually talking about cases that are being presented to them, cases that they are planning to seek indictment on. And as we know, the feds have a very strict punishment guideline, and so we want to punish these individuals to the maximum. We're not talking about 30 or 40% of your sentence. We're talking about 80 to 90%, especially for these gun crimes. And if we can, in these homicides, if we can make federal cases on these individuals, we will do that. I'll stress that again. We will make federal cases, which means harsher jail sentences for individuals who want to commit violent crimes in the city of Little Rock. Also, let's talk about some of the amazing proactive things that we're doing. I think people forget that we're doing a lot of proactive things. This past Monday night, we had our second Courageous Conversations at Second Baptist Church downtown. It was amazing. It was an amazing turnout, a lot of good questions, a lot of dialogue. But I think what makes this very unique is that the citizens realize, and we had this comment several times, that the police department cannot solve all of the crime problems, that it's going to take a team effort. And that's why Mayor Scott and the citizens that you see here and the board of directors realize that this is a public health issue, that it's not just a police issue, that it takes an entire city, a holistic approach to address this. And I'm starting to see some things fall into place when it comes to, we're starting to see our citizens feel comfortable in calling us. We're starting to see our detectives get more additional information regarding crimes that are occurring. So I just want to share that we're seeing it work. This didn't happen overnight. We're not going to see this drastic reduction. We're seeing reductions, but we're not going to see the drastic reductions that some people believe we should see. No city in the nation is going to see a drastic reduction because this didn't occur overnight. But however, our next Courageous Conversations is going to happen on April the 16th at Otter Creek Community Church. It starts at 10 a.m. We're excited about this. There'll be more of those conversations coming in the future. Also, the question's been asked about our community meetings, our division community meetings that we had been that we've been holding virtually. I'm glad to announce that our police patrol division meetings, community meetings will be held in person and also virtually. So we'll be opening back up where citizens can come face to face, ask our police commanders and our staff regarding what's going on in their areas. We're excited about that. We finally get a chance to see people face to face. And so that begins next week on the 14th. That will be the 12th Division community meeting. Then followed by on the 21st, I believe that's going to be Northwest and then the 28th Southwest. I might have those confused, but we know the 14th, 21st, and 28th, we will have those meetings. And so just also something that we're working on, we're starting to work on something that I've talked about since coming here. We believe as a capital city that we should have a real-time crime center. We are in the early stages of discussing that and working on that. We believe that our new police headquarters will be an amazing place to house that. So more about that will be coming in the near future. I'm happy to say, after an extensive search, we have selected 2 part-time social workers. They will begin work on the 11th of this month, so we'll have a social worker at each patrol division. As you know, Mallory Vassar has been at the 12th Division. She's doing a lot of work, amazing work. These positions will assist her, so we'll have one at Northwest and one at Southwest. And then also we're in the process of reviewing for our part-time community youth crime prevention advocate positions. Those will be 2 part-time positions. I'm reviewing those applications as we speak, and so I'm hoping in the next 30 days we would have selected those 2 individuals. And also in meeting with Assistant Chief Haskins, we're starting to outline our summer violent crime reduction plan. So as you know, we have a violent crime reduction plan, and so what we're starting to do now is work on how do we implement that for the summer. So at this point, that's all I have, and thank you all.
As I shared, again, the proactive approach of proactive policing, but also prevention and intervention, and part of that is our Hope Advisory Council. We're going to have some brief remarks. One, again, want to share the appreciation to the men and women who are part of this Hope's Council, those that we announced by name, but also those who are here presently today. Again, there's some members who weren't able to be here today just due to scheduling conflicts. I'm proud that one of the individuals who will be speaking today is our city board member, Ken Richardson, who is a longtime prevention and intervention leader in this city. I asked City Director Ken Richardson to give some brief remarks, and then we'll have Mr. Tim Campbell give some brief remarks as well.
Thank you, Mayor. The mayor committed the ultimate oxymoron when he said brief remarks from Ken Richardson. Many of you guys know who worked with me before know that I can't be brief about an issue like this because I've been dealing with it for so long, and far too long, and it's really, really important to me. And I want to thank the Honorable Leon Johnson, who, before he became a judge, I utilized his service when I was doing direct intervention work, doing gang intervention and prevention work. And I want to thank our men and women in Bulu, and especially the leadership of our chief, who's done a wonderful job of trying to help us make our city safe. And as he said, and I would say repeatedly to the tune of a broken record, we cannot police our way out of these problems, guys. We cannot. We cannot police our way out of social ills that are impacting many of our communities and many of the conflicts that we have happening in those communities. And I've said this before again, Mayor, I'm not gonna be brief. You could almost put a box around the city of Little Rock and determine where the next homicide may occur, where the next victim and perpetrator may reside. And a lot of those communities have the lowest common denominator with respect to social ills. So as a governing body, it's our job to help improve those communities. I think we address crime, public safety through community building. I learned that from doing work on the streets on a day-to-day basis back in the Banging in Little Rock days. I think I sing a different tune from some of my fellow choir members on the board when we talk about addressing public safety. And I speak from first-hand experience, knowing that crime most often and gangs back in that time were strongest where community was weakest. The color right now, back in the 90s, it was red and blue. It's not red and blue anymore. The color is green. That's the color that's driving a lot of this violence. It's not red or blue. It's green. And we cannot police our way out of unemployment or underemployment. We cannot police our way out of mental health services. We cannot police our way out of the need for mental health services. We cannot police our way out of substance use or substance abuse. So we need to have these cross collaboration between our police department and our program providers out in the community. One of the things we did, Chief, back in the 90s, we had a couple of things where we had some cross-training between our programs working with the gang members and the police department. We had cross-training efforts. We had a Bridging the Gap basketball series where we had active gang members play basketball games versus our community-oriented police officers down at Thrasher Boys Clubs. We also had a Rainbow Love, Civitan Rainbow Love Burning bowling tournament with police officers and active gang members. So we gave them an opportunity to see themselves in different lights and interact with each other in different lights. So I don't want to think that you guys, us keep repeatedly saying that we need more and more and more police. I have a paradigm shift with respect to that. I think we build those communities where we know these crimes are happening, and we put people out there to deal with the conflict resolution, as the chief mentioned. When I walked down here, I briefly stepped on the shoe of my good friend, former Dallas Cowboy, Reggie Swinton. Now, if we don't have crisis intervention specialists out there, when I do that, and nobody's helping them resolve that issue, by the time the community blows it up, and by the time that it's drawn to its fruition, the word on the street is, I punched Reggie in the back of his head. Because they have a tendency to make these things a lot more exaggerated than they actually are, because we don't have people out there talking to them, engaging them the way we used to do back in the mid-'90s and early '90s. So I want to thank all you guys. I want to thank my fellow committee members for being here. I want to thank them for giving your time and your effort and your interest. And one life is one too many. I don't know when and where we hit that magical, majestical number where we say it's a crisis. For me, it's one. When we lose one, I think we need to shut everything down. Let's figure out what needs to be done to help address the issues that cause us to lose that one life. So to me, it's one. There's no magical, majestical number that we reach that, Mayor, that becomes 20, if it's 22 or 23, where it becomes an emergency. To me, when we lose one, it's a state of emergency to me and for me. So I want to thank you guys for being here, Mayor. I want to thank you for inviting me to make some brief remarks and to help address a very, very serious issue that's near and dear to my heart. I've gone to far too many funerals of young people that have died at 12, 13, 14-year-olds, and to be in the church with no adults helping them process those deaths and that grief that they're interacting with and that they have to feel and express. And most often, they express it by turning it on each other. That's an unfortunate reality. And Mayor, I think it's easy for us as board members, which we do, so let's fund some programs. Let's go heal that kid. No, man, it's a little bit bigger than that, my friend. We need to heal the kid, heal the family that produced the kid, and ultimately, my friends, heal the community that produced the family. That's our charge. We're not going to program our way out of it. We're not going to police our way out of it, but we need to look at it in a broader context, not in those simple views. Let's fund more programs and work with more kids. No, it's bigger than that. A lot of these kids are coming from traumatic homes and traumatic communities, and we know where they are. And Mayor, if we want to talk about playing chess and us being proactive, let's look at those issues and address those as a governing body. Thank you, guys. I hope you guys have a great day.
As you can see, I knew he was not going to be brief, so I asked him to go first. But also, as you also can see, the great talent that he has in addressing these particular issues. So again, City Director Richardson, we appreciate you and very grateful. Again, briefly, Mr. Tim Campbell, and then we'll take questions.
I'm a little short. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm honored to be here, and I'm honored to be here under the finger and the work of our Mayor, Frank Scott, and our Chief, Chief Humphrey. And the first thing that stood out to me about the Hope Council was the name Hope, right? Because unlike education, unlike day-to-day challenges, it's not something that's easily attainable. It's something that has to be given. Not just one time, not just 2 times, but on a daily basis. Hope is the only factor that we have left. We've tried programming, we've tried the ultimate extreme rates of policing, we've tried different community advocacy programs, and we're trying all these different angles now because it's gonna take a village, right? Because a village is who's hurt when a child drops to the ground. So it's gonna take a village to comfort not just these children, but also the families that are affected. And I'm glad that our mayor understands that our solutions that we need are not in over extremism. They're right in the middle of our faces. It's not an issue of what we're doing. It's not an issue of time, because time, we don't have time. Time is not something that's on our side. Time is not something that we can depend on. We have to act now. And with the altercations that are going on in the community, we have to make sure before we make solutions, we understand crime. We understand why it's happening. We understand what it's attached to, things like poverty, things like no hope, and things like trauma. So I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to continue to do the work beside Chanel, Reggie Switten, Ken Richardson, Judge, and I'm sure that we'll have great outcomes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tim. Again, I want to share appreciation to all the members who are assembled here today and those that could not make it due to scheduling conflicts of the HOPE Council, which stands for Holistic Outreach and Prevention in Every Neighborhood, for every neighborhood. Again, as you also see, it's a three-pronged approach, both from the community, our police, as well as our judicial system. Very grateful that Judge Leon Johnson, as well as I believe Judge Melanie Martin is a part as well. She had court today. So very grateful for those individuals. Again, shout out to Reggie Swinton, who has been a community leader from a youth sports concept, but also he's taken it a step further. Just 2 weeks ago, we had a community rally that he led and spirited, and we just want to share our appreciation for getting in the game. And you've always been in the game, but you've stepped foot and stepped forward, and that's what it takes. It takes a true community approach. It's the city, it's the community, it's our police, it's our judicial system, all working together, all hands-on deck approach. And that's how we're addressing this to combat crime. We're very grateful, again, for the men and women who are of the Little Rock Police Department who are responding to crime, but also catching those individuals that are committing the crime. It's our goal is to prevent the crime from even happening in the first place and to save a generation. And that's about the work that we're doing. We'll take a few questions.
In reference to the Park Plaza and the shooting in the parking lot, Chief Humphrey said that there were two people meeting at the mall. There was no intent of going into the mall. Can you get an idea of what that meeting was about? Was it some kind of transaction? Why were they meeting?
There's only so much information to share due to the case in hand. I believe Chief Humphrey shared the information. What I can tell you is that these individuals had no intent on going inside the meeting, going inside Park Plaza Mall. There was an altercation. They knew each other, and unfortunately, there was a victim as a result of it. Again, I want to share our appreciation to the men and women of the Little Rock Police Department who are working to find that individual. We have some very good leads. We don't want to jeopardize that. But I think you can make some context clues of what was going on. Next question.
As far as the incident shooting, what merits that case being sealed as opposed to all the others where families have lost loved ones and millions have been spread around?
Sure, it's my understanding from a number of different reasons. There were some legal reasons why it was sealed. The whole council is going to be meeting until we figure out solutions. Clearly, we understand that crime is always going to be a part of a society. We want to reduce violent crime. We want to reduce overall crime in general. I don't know if there'll ever be a day that it's to zero, but we definitely wanted to get under the numbers that it is right now. And until we figure out a solution that we're satisfied with, I don't know. I don't think I'm ever going to be satisfied with violent crime in our city, so I can't give you a direct answer on that. But I want to be very transparent. Next question.
We're talking about crime in certain areas and that we can draw a circle around and maybe guesstimate where the next crime is going to happen. But even though that may be true and we're trying to help this along with it takes a village, these are all individuals. Every crime is committed by not a group, not a village, but one person, or maybe two people, but it's all individual crime. That's the only way you're really going to be able to do it, and that's going to be tough to actually go out there and attack individuals. And I know you're trying to. Where are we going to get to that place where we can get individuals to listen to you, to understand to find those people before they commit it? How are we going to get there?
Well, thank you so much for that question. You're right. We've had 17 homicides this year, all committed by individuals, whether it was domestic crime, domestic violence, whether it was acquaintance violence, whether it was substance abuse use from that particular issue. Yes, it goes to a very granular level, and that's the reason why we're taking multiple approaches as it relates to prevention and intervention. Anytime that we have organizations, anytime as City Director Richardson shared, in addition to the programming, it's about healing the community. And so the crime happens in my neighborhood. Make sure we're very clear. The crime happens south of 630, east of I-30. The crime happens where most of our population in our city is. That's the reason why we're focused on a community school model, because we're trying to save our children with the Little Rock School District. That's the reason why we're focused on these prevention, intervention, treatment, because we're trying to save and prevent and intervene. That's the reason why we're focused on mental health issues, because we know there are mental health issues with all of us, and we got to figure out how we treat these issues. So do I have an answer that we're going to change every member of the city of Little Rock, which is 203,000? No, but I'm going to try to do my best to find out. And that's the reason why we've assembled everyone together, because it is going to take a village. As City Director Richardson has shared, as Tim Campbell and everyone here shared, we have to provide hope to the hopeless. We provide hope by ensuring everyone has a job, a living wage, that we provide access to capital. Because you want to see a safe neighborhood, you're going to see some homeowners. You want to see a safe neighborhood, they're going to be employed. And we're doing our best to do what we can do to provide hope to the hopeless. Next question.
Maybe Tim or somebody from the group, we had heard a lot about younger people using social media. I mean, they're showing guns, it's music oriented, it's selling drugs. Is there a plan, or is there going to be a plan or an effort to use social media to target some of the people that are showcasing and showing off, their AKs and everything else on Instagram?
There's not only plans in action right now. We have a committed team at the Little Rock Police Department that they follow. They get a lot of leads from social media. So that's already in action right now from that standpoint. Unfortunately, we do have a culture that takes to social media or IG Live and they begin to disrespect, humiliate individuals. Where in my day or in Reggie Swinton's day that we would just use it with our hands, but individuals now are taking to IG Live and then they pick up a gun. And then once they pick up the gun, if they shoot the individual or kill the individual, their family or friends retaliate. And so that's the culture we're in right now. We are entering a new phenomenon, not only in this city, this entire nation. And that's what we're doing. I'm glad we have the men and women of Little Rock Police Department that are following those leads as it relates to social media, that are utilizing those leads to ensure that we capture individuals. And guess what? Anytime somebody's committed a crime in this Little Rock, we are capturing these individuals. We're trying to prevent it. Next question.
So will they be finding some of these individuals using Instagram? Like, are they going to incorporate that into some of the plan? Or
I think I shared. We already have a plan in place. We have an intel team that's focused on that, and they do that right now. Next question. This will be the final question. City Director, I'm going to be very brief. I'm going to pull you right.
There you go again. We're going to circle back around to your question about these are individuals, and you're absolutely correct. We need to have individuals out there in the community working with these individuals for them to understand that these cultural norms that they've embraced are abnormal. I'll give you a great example of the work that we've done. We worked with we had a young lady who was in our program, oh gosh, to tell how old I am, 20 plus years ago. She's now on the school board. She's now on the Little Rock School Board, Little Rock School District Board of Directors. So to your question, and back to you, Mitch, I think part of how we change the cultural norm is we reach those individuals. That means we employ individuals who may not have the best work history. The guys I used to hire when I worked back in the days may not have had the best education, may in fact themselves been ex-offenders, but they have a unique ability to reach them in a way that I can't. So once we utilize them in a positive, productive way to help spread the message, that's why we make it happen. Is that brief?
Mr.
This will be the last question.
It was a year ago, I guess this month, that the police department put out a community notification about a person possibly responsible for multiple stabbings. Can we just get an update on where that investigation stands at this point?
Yes, Assistant Chief Bewley will get you an update as quick as possible. We'll get it to you. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day.